The October 16, 2019 meeting of the Windsor Planning Commission will now come to order. Will the secretary please call the roll?
Gail Schick.
Present.
Victor Talon.
Present.
Doug Dennison.
Present.
Kelly Hall.
Present.
Jerry Bushelman.
Present.
Tim Reddick.
Present.
Cindy Sharman.
Present.
First item on tonight's agenda is the review of the agenda itself by the Planning Commission for any addition of items or changes to the agenda.
Mr. Chair, I move we accept the agenda as written.
Second. It's been moved by Commissioner Talon, second by Commissioner Bushelman, that we accept the agenda as presented. Those in favor of the motion will vote yes. Those opposed vote no. Motion carries unanimously. Next item is public invited to be heard. If there is anyone in the audience who has an item that they wish to present to the Planning Commission tonight that is not on the agenda this evening, now is the time to do so. And if you do have something, if you could come to the podium, give us your name and address, and you'll have a 3-minute time limit to give us your information. So if there is anyone who has an item that they wish to present, now is the time to do so. Seeing there be none, we'll move along. Next item is consent calendar. This evening's consent calendar consists of the approval of the minutes of the October 2nd, 2019 meeting.
Mr. Chair, I move we approve the meeting minutes for October 2nd. Second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Talon, second by Commissioner Dennison, that we approve the minutes of the October 2nd, 2019 meeting. Those in favor of the motion will vote yes. Those opposed vote no. And the motion carries unanimously. We'll now move into the board action items. And the first item, Scott, you want to give us the latest information on that?
Yes, thank you, Chairman Schick and Planning Commissioners. Unfortunately, staff missed one of the steps that's required by municipal code and did not post the property for the Avery Substation Conditional Use Grant public hearing, and therefore we're asking that it be postponed until the November 6th Planning Commission meeting. We've spoken with the applicant and tried to get the word out, but unfortunately we missed that one step, and so it was town staff's miss and not the applicant's, so I just wanted to make that clear. And so we'll be asking for the public hearing on for the Planning Commission on November 6th. And looking at the schedule, I don't believe that will impact the town board public hearing because we had already built in a week because of Veterans Day being on the 11th. So I believe it's only the Planning Commission that will be, well, it was originally scheduled for this month. So yes, it is pushing both of those. So.
They'll basically have to push it out to the next meeting.
Right, and so we'll be re-advertising and going through all of the notification again.
Okay.
So.
And we need a motion to move that to that date, don't we?
Mr. Chair, I move we postpone the regular Planning Commission meeting on this public hearing to November 6th due to the error.
Second.
And moved by Commissioner Talon, second by Commissioner Sharman, that we delay the current first item on the agenda for the conditional use grant to the meeting for November 6th. Those in favor of the motion will vote yes. Those opposed vote no.
Thank you.
And the motion carries unanimously. So if there was anybody in the audience who came for that agenda item, it'll be moved to our next meeting, so apologize for the delay in that. Moving on to the next agenda item, which is a approval of the waiver of section 3A2A of commercial corridor plan regarding minimum building and paving setbacks. Welcome, David. The floor is yours.
Good evening, Commissioner Schick and the rest of the planning commissioners. Thanks for having me tonight. This is going to be my first item in front of you all. I've been with the town for about 3 weeks now, so forgive any errors of procedure or anything like that tonight as I take over this project from the previous planner. So This project is for the Pikes Auto Service Care that's currently located on Main Street, just a little bit more in the central business district. And this is for a waiver request in their new location at 728 Main Street. So obviously, as you all are aware, in the commercial corridor plan, the waivers come through you all, and you guys have the final say. Any appeals, though, that can be made to the town board from here. So tonight's waiver, we are looking at a request for the 30-foot building and paving setback. This is a setback in the plan that states any building or paving shall be set 30 feet back from basically sites that adjoin Main Street. And so thus the applicants at Pike Auto Service are requesting a waiver from this requirement. As their building that they're moving into, as you can see here, kind of outlined in the white, is an existing building. This is a footprint that already exists with their proposal, and they're not changing that building footprint or the paving setbacks at all. So it's right there at the northeast corner of 8th Street and Main. The property is currently zoned general commercial, so again, kind of that buffer between the central business district and the lower uses like single family and open space. And here's the site plan. It's a pretty light site plan, so I apologize for any issues with the ability to read it. But as you can see, there's the line shown there, kind of where the 30-foot setback is that is required in this commercial corridor plan. So they've got some posts basically kind of encroaching within that area, but largely the main building footprint does exist outside of that, but their pavement also definitely encroaches into that area. So that's again part of the reason for the setback waiver. Staff doesn't see any major issues with this, just from the standpoint of, again, this is an existing building and all of their proposals are essentially just tenant finishes or architectural features. As you can see here on their elevations, they're basically just updating some of the facades, kind of modernizing some of the architectural amenities, adding some glazing, some awnings, and the like. And so we don't see these as major encroachments or changes. And so we're not too worried with that. So understanding the review criteria based on this, basically the strict application of this standard would result in extraordinary hardship for the property owner, and we do agree with that because, again, trying to have them amend their existing site plan or building out of that 30-foot setback could be quite onerous from a cost standpoint, as well as basically the protection of public safety and the interest of that would basically be better if the waiver is requested and be based on their architectural renovations, their tenant finishes, again, and such. Things like the entry point and those additional points of safe egress out of the weather, things like that. We feel like they're all going above what's existing today, and so we agree with that. And the final point is that this basically waiver would not be detrimental to the public interest in any way. And so, again, nothing that they're doing is changing what already exists, and they're not further adding any detriment to the public interest based on their proposal. So with that, we believe that all of their plans do conform with the overall comprehensive plan, which is maintaining the community character, investing in businesses that already have public infrastructure, things like that. And it's consistent with all of our plans with the safe, well-planned community, with the spirit and the pride of Windsor. So with that, staff recommends that the Planning Commission approve the waiver request with the following findings of fact. Strict application of the applicable standard will result in a practical difficulty for the applicant. The proposed waiver will protect the public interested equally or better than the standard for which the waiver is requested, and the approval of the waiver request will not be detrimental to the public interest. And we would request that the following go into record, which is the application and supplemental materials, staff memo, and supporting documents, and ultimately the recommendation for approval. So with that, any questions? Sorry if that was very quick.
I'd ask you the question if the applicant was here, but I can see he's not.
Nobody's.
It's pretty full room today.
I think we ought to postpone it till.
Yeah, I think we have to. That's one of our rules, wasn't it?
We pretty much held tight to that for them to be here, you know. But this is pretty standard as far as the request here. It's not like you're gonna get a building mover to come in here and move the building itself, so I have no problems with the recommendation from staff. Mr.
I
Talon?
think it's a good improvement. It'll give a little more character to the building.
Definitely.
It'll be very nice.
There's enough of a character.
Yeah.
Just to clarify though, it's the change in facade that prompts the need for the waiver, not just the change in tendency?
So as far as I'm aware, anytime there's a site plan application that basically changes the use, changes aspects of the site, so in this case, it is largely the exterior renovations, that's what prompted the waiver, yes.
Yeah, specifically the encroachment that the new entry feature, it encroaches into that
So
aspect.
if it's not 30 feet, what is it? 27, 12?
So based on the setbacks, so this is something that we had asked their consultant to provide us basically updated measurements on their original site plan application. They did not provide any dimensions.
Okay.
So we're able to scale it, within the PDF application and get approximate. So
Okay.
it looks like their building is probably 33 feet setback, but where the entry feature is probably 26, 27, something like that.
Victor?
Sure, yes. Anyway, looking at this, compared to the old fire station, they did a pretty nice job changing it to make it more acceptable and to make the downtown look better. So with that, I recommend the planning commission approve the waiver request with the following findings of fact as stated by staff.
Second?
Been moved by Commissioner Talon, second by Commissioner Showerman, that we approve the waiver request with the 3 noted findings of fact identified by staff. Those in favor of the motion will vote yes. Those opposed, vote no. And the motion carries unanimously.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Communication from the Planning Commission. Cindy?
No communications.
Tim?
No, sir. Nothing tonight.
Victor?
Yes, I have one thing. Scott, I was just gonna ask you on, now that, Diamond Valley, which is not Diamond Valley, what's it called now?
Well, there are several filings of Diamond Valley. Where the charter school is located is, I believe, the first filing. And then Diamond Valley Park is where the ball fields are.
Right, where they sold that off to whatever.
Right.
My concern is that, where we originally had the charter school over there that was supposed to be temporary, which I don't think is temporary anymore. When we originally started this thing, I remember Chris Ruff came in.
Yeah, it wasn't intended to be temporary, but they have expanded a couple of times over the years. And, for the record, staff did point out several concerns regarding traffic circulation and things like that, if that's one of the issues. But,
Well, and then over at the park now, they're developing, they're gonna start developing a couple more soccer fields over there.
yeah, the agreement between the sports park and the town requires that the initial 2 multi-purpose fields will be constructed yet this fall and be ready for rec programming in the spring. So they're gonna be probably grading and planting turf and putting the irrigation in yet here in the next 3 weeks.
Okay, good. My concern is that's gonna bring more traffic congestion. With that high school over there now, I see actually, my concern is I see the traffic congestion, which I notice more because I live there.
Right,
But then I get the complaints from everybody in my neighborhood.
right.
But the bottom line is we gotta look at the safety features because we have no sidewalks and I see kids walking up 257.
Right.
And we gotta look at how we're gonna control that and take care of that.
So yeah, there's a lot of that I can add to this conversation. I think the charter school, it has expanded, and unfortunately, the town doesn't have as much purview over schools as we do other private properties, or the school districts can essentially pull their own building permits through the state, and we're actually dealing with that with the new charter school out on Westgate Drive at I-25. We anticipate there could be additional traffic problems out there as well.
Yeah,
But anyway, so the charter school aside, I think the sports park, they'll be turning in their plans for the ultimate project here over this winter for staff review. They'll also be turning in their traffic study, and we'll probably be having our traffic expert review that study and try to come to the best solutions we can as far as distributing the traffic to multiple access points, and trying not to exacerbate the problem at the charter school. I guess one good thing is the rec programming and a lot of the use of the park would be at a different time than when school's in session. So
Right.
there will be some of that staggered, but it's still it's an issue that we're looking closely at.
Is there will you be bringing that in front of us so that we can see that?
Yeah, you will be seeing, not the initial two fields, I believe those are being done through an administrative site plan, but a master plan for the overall park would come before you and the
Okay.
town board.
And
And
that will include a traffic study with that stuff.
the traffic study will be included, yeah.
That's the wrong way.
And I guess along the lines, it's a really good point that we don't have any pedestrian connections along Highway 257. The same has been raised on Eastman Park Drive. As we've met with some of the stakeholders in the area, like Tolmar and Great Western Industrial Park, will be developing the south half of Eastman Park Drive, we've actually come to the conclusion that we need to do a corridor plan for the Eastman Park Drive segment from State Highway 257 to the sports park, because it's really changing the character of that area, and it's no longer just a limited industrial park if we're inviting all of the region to come to our sports park. So we'll be looking at access points, pedestrian connectivity, and the streetscape standards for that entire stretch of Eastman Park Drive. We've asked for town board to budget that in the 2020 capital improvements budget, so hopefully the town board will agree. I think they are fully aware of the change in dynamic out there, and they'll support that. So you'll probably be seeing a corridor plan come before you for that area as well.
My main concern is that those high school students are walking across Eastman Kodak Drive and 257, and
Right.
it's just an accident waiting to happen.
Yeah, the traffic signal at Garden and State Highway 257 was actually installed shortly after the charter school went in, because we
Right.
recognized that even though most of the kids are driven to school, and that's why we have the
Most of them
traffic
are
problem,
chauffeured there.
there are some that are making a dangerous crossing, yeah.
Okay. Well, that's all I want to hear, so that's good with me. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Anything else? Victor?
No.
Ms. Hall?
No.
Mr. Dennison?
Nothing, thanks.
And maybe David could actually add to, he's been already jumping into some of these meetings with the stakeholders.
Yeah, so Rick Wagner, who's the Windsor Charter School Facilities Director, contacted me a few days ago because he heard that I was starting to dabble in some of the downtown parking study aspects, and they wanted to revisit their parking study that they had done specifically, for the high school and elementary school out there. So today I met with them, and they have a security steering committee, if you will. So it's the two kind of security directors for the high school and the elementary school, and then probably a dozen or so, staff and parents and that sort of thing. So we're actively working on kind of understanding kind of their current needs as far as an assessment understands basically connectivity from elementary schools, and the crossing guards and how they're stopping traffic. Everyone from, a parent in their Suburban to an 18-wheeler are all using the same intersections. So we're definitely aware of that. And I designed the last 2 charter schools in Loveland, and so there's some good familiarity that hopefully we can kind of basically take that context and understand sidewalk connections and bike connections, knowing that they're not really getting bused, they're not really biking to school or walking to school like they used to, but still how to understand the sports complex, the industrial traffic, and then you have hundreds of students trying to get in into classrooms and cars and things like that. So from a staff standpoint, we definitely hear that and we're taking that seriously. So,
Great, thank you.
yeah.
Thanks, Dave. Communication from our town board liaison who isn't here, so we'll move to communications from staff. David, you have anything? You didn't know there was gonna be a quiz, did you?
Right.
Exactly.
Scott?
Yeah, just to kind of piggyback onto that conversation, David also just recently completed Loveland's downtown parking study. And so with we're actually going to be updating the Windsor's downtown parking study that the DDA first, I believe it was 2012 when they conducted the original study. And we're going to be updating that this year, and that'll be coming before you as well. But between Paul and David's expertise in the downtown parking, we should be pretty well covered in that area.
So in 2020, we'll have better vision.
Well, I think we all, I think you can look across the street and see that the mill is having an impact on this block, that there will be certain aspects of the downtown area will have changed, but I think by and large, a lot of the downtown is pretty similar to what it was in 2012. But yeah, the 2020 vision will be hindsight. Is 2020. The only other thing I wanted to point out is just a reminder, again, the November 4th joint work session with the town board to discuss the latest in the land use code update. So
What is that?
Okay.
that's all I have.
Nothing.
Nothing? Just happy on the end of the row there, huh?
Move to adjourn.
We are adjourned.
Yeah.